Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be working on a Vauxhall Zafira. This one is a 2006 model, so it's the Mark II, which is the next model up from the previous Zafira we've had on the channel. It's a 1.8 petrol SRI model. Today we're going to be doing a clutch change. So what I'll do is I'll take you out and show you the car now and show you the problem we've got with the clutch as well. Then we'll get started, I think. Basically, clutch pedals, just a basic biro. There is nothing as far as any resistance there at all. It's absolutely gone. But with the lack of resistance on there, people might turn around and say it's the clutch slave that's gone. But regardless of what's wrong with the clutch, it has been slipping for months, and it was planned to be done in the next couple of days anyway. And also, not only that, if you want to change the slave cylinder, you're going to pull all the gearbox off the engine anyway, so you may as well do the whole lot. This is the Zafira in question, and if we carry on going round and pan out a bit, you'll see that it's that model. These style headlights. I'm trying to hide the number plate because I don't know if I've got permission to put it on or not, but she did give me permission to put it on the car on the channel, but whether that means showing the plates or not, I'm not entirely sure. The gearbox is hiding just down here. We're going to take all the battery tray off and the battery out, and we're going to jack it up and get the wheels off, and then I'll bring you back in shortly. I'm currently working from the back of my van with my toolbox in here. It's a really hot day. We've got a Transmech Clutch Kit. Not sure if it's any good, but we've had to go cheap as we could find at the moment. And to be honest, this clutch is better than the clutches in there. Let's put it that way. Locking wheel nut box there, and we can see that we've got it on axle stands, thanks to a new to me trolley jack. My one had started to sink occasionally, and a good friend of mine who's been in my YouTube videos and on the behind the scenes said I can have his trolley jack, so thank you, Ian. And I've also stolen his axle stands as well, but he does know about it. Well, the oil patch there, we'll get to that in a second. We've got the battery tray and everything moved. There's literally loads of bolts all the way around the edge of the gearbox, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see in there, but we've got to get all them out. We've got to get those on the top there loosened. We've got those three on the top there. And Vauxhall like to be nice to you, and it is all these type of sockets, but you need to really get yourself a whole set really, because Vauxhall, like, I believe it's a mixture of E20s, E18s and E22s, but I'm not entirely sure until I start taking it apart. But definitely highly recommend, because sometimes they even throw something as small as an E8 in there, as far as like a little cover bolt or whatever, but you need to take that off, otherwise it won't separate the gearbox. I highly recommend getting a set of them if you need to do this job yourself. First job we're going to tackle is we're literally going to pop these drive shafts out. This one will just be the nut there. We'll take the bottom ball joint off, and then it'll just pull out of the gearbox at that end. And we'll do the same with this side, and then it will just pull out the gearbox. It is a longer drive shaft because it's got to reach further across, but there's no central support or anything like that holding it, so again that will just pull out when we drop the bottom ball joint. Back onto that oil patch underneath. We saw right at the start of the video how soft the pedal was. That isn't oil. As much as there is a fair bit of oil residue on the bottom of the engine, and it being coated in what looks like oil residue, that is .4 brake fluid. So that means the clutch slave cylinder has given up, and that could even be the reason why it's been slipping for a while. But neither here nor there as to what's actually gone wrong. We still need to pull this gearbox out and get it sorted. I'm going to get started with doing that. We need to pull all this engine mount off at the bottom here, the engine bracket at the back there as well. There's one at the back there, and I'm just literally going to crack on and bring you back after I've done a bit more, I think. Thought I'd bring you in for an update, guys. We've got the bracket off of the gearbox. We've got all the bolts out from the gearbox, a couple of really stubborn ones. We've got Ian down here trying to work on the subframe bolts and get a cover off from underneath there so we can get to the final one. both drive shafts are out, and if I take you underneath, I've got it supported on the trolley jack with a bit of wood. As you can see, we've got a bit of a gap between the gearbox, and we've got this subframe temporarily slightly dropped, but we want to get all the bolts out so we can drop it as far as it will go without taking things like power steering and stuff out. Plan was just to bring you in a bit more when I knew a bit more. As far as the getting the drive shafts out are concerned, both sides do just pull out. There's no locking aspects on there other than the hub nut on the end just here. There's a pinch bolt, you knock that down, and then we've got the steering linkage just there as well, you take out just to allow full movement of this out the way. So we're getting there, but a little bit of a slower process than I was hoping. I've had a fair few problems with it, which I'll explain shortly in the video. So guys, I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to be able to show you of this, but this is pretty much what we've got as far as space we're working with. We've got enough access, just enough access to get my hands in there. I won't be able to get my hands and the camera in there to show you what I'm doing, but we can get it out and show you what we've done afterwards. I'll take you around underneath. Before I do that though, we are in the process of cutting this subframe bolt because it started rounding and crossing, but it's fine. We're going to put a new bolt into there anyway. We've got new bolts and we're going to sort that bit out of the top as well, so that'll be all secure when we're finished. But for now, we've got the subframe dropped by that much all the way round, just to give us a bit more space to play with on the gearbox. So we're now under the car. As you can see the clutch just there, and it's got 6 11mm bolts in there holding the clutch. We are going to do a crafty, and we are going to use the bottom crank bolt on the timing belt side to rotate the engine so we can get to the bolts on the other side and get access that way. And inside here, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show you, but inside here is the clutch release cylinder, and that looks to be, I will correct it if I need to, but it looks to be T30 Torx. So we're going to grab all that out because there's also what is a 10mm nut sitting at the top there which you can't see. We need to get that off with a little 10mm spanner as well. We're going to get that off, get all the bits out, double check that everything's right with the new part, because I have a suspicion that we might have the wrong new parts, and if need be go and get some replacement bits and pieces. So I'll bring you back in a little while when I've got them out. So guys, in the end we decided we didn't rotate the engine because we managed to wedge the gearbox up here like so, in such a way that gave us loads more room. I'll show you underneath. Loads of room to play with, and we've been able to get right inside. We are going to give this a bit of a clean out because it's covered in brake fluid. We've got a rubber O-ring there with O-ring seal that we need to remove because we've got a brand new one to go in place. When I took this out, we see a very poor quality and poor condition. So I say that lightly because it's a poor quality build and a poor condition clutch, and it's literally just burnt away at one side. But it could be that it's been slipping for quite some time. It could be the brake fluid that's been going onto it, brake and clutch fluid that's been going onto it, which has made that 10 times worse. I'm not entirely sure. All I know is it's pretty much got nothing left on there. This diaphragm's a bit naff as well, to be honest. And this was a Transmech clutch. So yes, I know I'm putting a Transmech clutch back in, and I'm taking the mickey out of this one, but I think the main failing of this is we've still got the original GM Vauxhall part throwout bearing on there, which had all this lines retrofitted and these couple of clips. There's one there, and then that's the bit where the actual brake fluid line goes in, and then we've got the bleed screw on there. We've got this little stem here which goes into the gearbox, and what that does is that allows the connection of the slave cylinder to go through to the outside of the gearbox and be attached to this piece, which I'm yet to clean up and go back, because the outside bit, that's the joining bit between the two, and then and basically it just all goes together like this, and that stem will go into the top there, and that then effectively replaces all this solid brake line aspect and gives us this point to be placed back outside the gearbox. Then we can be fitting this. You in for another update. Basically, we've got all the bolts back in for this. We've got the gear linkage bracket at the bottom down there, all back into place, holding the gear linkage wire lines, and then we've got that all linked back up to the gearbox as well. All the bolts on the gearbox are actually done up. Let me just take you underneath. How far you got with that, Ian? That's right, that trolley jack can come out now, because what Ian's actually doing is he's putting the back subframe bolts on. We've got the front subframe bolts are, where is it? There, back in place. He's doing the back plate up now for the back ones. We've got these back ones done. I've got this front one done. We've still got to put a plastic cover here with these little tiny screws. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the middle one just there, where we had to cut the bolt out. We have a brand new bolt just here, various different washers. I'm going to use a lock nut. This is a high tensile strength bolt, and I'm literally going to put that, move that round out the way. I'm going to put that basically through there like so, and I'll bring it back when it's done. Also, the lady in question has got a brand new anti-roll bar linkage, because there was a silly numpty when it comes to cutting. I decided for some reason it would be a clever idea to cut through the anti-roll bar linkage. That was purely by accident, but I've replaced that at no cost to the customer, because that was my mess up. So if I damage something, I replace it out of my own pocket, because that's the right thing to do. But anyway, I'm going to put this bolt in, and I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like. And just like that, that bolt is in there. It is rather close to this, but it's not actually touching. It does look like it is, but it's not actually touching. And I've double washed it just to make sure it doesn't touch. But that is nice and tight. That ain't going to go anywhere. That's a nice secure fix, instead of having the original bolt in there, because the original bolt was too far gone to reuse. So guys, we're still with the Zafira. We've decided we're going to make a better access to the brake reservoir for bleeding the clutch up by taking this lower panel off and this upper panel off. This is four 10mm bolts that just go into the frame underneath there. You need to have a small ratchet to get in there, access in there. Now we're down here, just in that bottom gap, just there, you can see the bleed nipple. We've got this one-man bleeding kit. I'm just going to literally use that just to catch the excess fluid. And we have this pressurized system, which that's the brake reservoir's original cap. We've got a sealed cap that screws on there, filled that up with brake fluid, filled the reservoir with brake fluid, and that comes down to just a random spare wheel that I put some air in at 18 psi, which I run it at, because by the time it gets done it will be fine. And the reason we're taking our time with this is not by choice, it's by having to, I'm afraid. One drive shaft is still not installed. We've got that side put back together, and the longer drive shaft isn't together yet, and that's purely and simply because we are waiting on the parts place to be able to order a drive shaft oil seal. So we're going to be able to get that and put that in when it turns up in the next couple of days. So unfortunately not very good news for the lady who owns the car, but not much we can do, I'm afraid, because I'd rather give it back to her done properly than potentially mess up because there's no gearbox oil in it. So we'll bring you back when there's more of an update. I'm just going to crack that bleed nipple off and get the clutch bled up. So there's another job ticked off, and yeah, I'll bring you back when I've done some more. So guys, as you can see, we're not on my driveway. We're down at the local park near me, and the clutch works perfectly and it drives superbly, and yes, it's just working amazing. So guys, what should have been a 4 to 6 hour job for me to do on my driveway turns out that it's ended up being nearly a week's worth of painstaking work. Nothing's matched the registration as far as parts are concerned. It turns out that we believe that it's potentially had either a replacement engine, a replacement gearbox, or possibly replacement both. But considering this car has only got 145,000 miles on the clock, there's no reason why, unless it hasn't been looked after in the past, for it to need a replacement engine or gearbox. It's neither here nor there. The clutch is now done, so hopefully you've enjoyed this little bit of a vague video, and look out for my new car reveal on Friday, because there'll be a lot more content coming So yeah, take care guys, bye for now. Just before I go, another video there, and my subscribe icon will be there. So bye for now guys.